Welcome back everybody to another MOTOBOB video from EICMA 2025. We're at Ducati for a look at some of their new bikes, but one we knew was going to be on the way quite soon is a new DesertX fitted out with their new V2 platform. This is a bike we've seen in spy shots over the past few months, and so what we've got here is the latest development, the latest prototype that gives us a glimpse of what might be finally announced in the next couple of months, I'd imagine. So as you can guess, we don't have the full detailed specs, but a lot of it is on show, and so we'll give you a good description of what we can see here on the stand. Now, if you watch my new MOTOBOB V2 video, you'll know that I absolutely love this new V2 engine from Ducati. We've reviewed quite a few of the bikes that now have it, the Panigale, the Street Fighter, the Multistrada, and it's just a very lively, lightweight, free-revving engine that makes for a lot of fun out on the road. And it seems to have, you know, proper real-world usability, perhaps owing to the fact that it's now got variable intake timing that gives it this very smooth and predictable and linear torque curve that means that it produces plenty of shove at pretty much any point in the rev range. Fantastic engine. It makes, I think, about 120 horsepower in the more sporty bikes, but I would expect this particular model to get the same engine as the Multistrada V2, which is tuned down ever so slightly. I think it might actually be as a result of having a more substantial generator, but it still makes 115 horsepower peak and 92 newton meters of peak torque, and so it should be plenty enough for this particular bike, especially if you consider it more of an off-road bias model where peak power isn't really the name of the game. Most bikes, though, that they've moved onto this new V2 engine have shed a lot of weight because most of them were moving off their fairly long in the tooth Testa Stretta V-twin, which was a little bit weighty, and so I'd expect very much the same here. An extreme example would be that new MOTOBOB V2 that we covered recently. That's managed to shave off 13 kilograms versus the previous generation. And so with this one, the current DesertX rather, coming in at about 210 kilos, well, maybe if they can get 5 or 10 kilograms off, that would be very much appreciated indeed. In fact, I think the current Multistrada V2 is just over 200 kilos, and so maybe somewhere around that figure would be possible, although this is a little bit more tall and robust, and so yeah, I'd expect somewhere between 200 and 210. Now, before we get on to some of the other changes that we can see on this particular bike, I just want to say a massive thanks to Calamoto for supporting our trip and making all of this coverage possible. Calamoto is a brilliant motorcycle-specific navigation app that uses its own algorithm to pick out the best curvy roads, and so that means you shouldn't have to ride boring straight roads, and instead you'll be able to use their app or their route planner on their website to make these fantastic motorcycle riding routes. Now, I'm giving away these golden tickets with 12 months free membership, so if you're at the show and you want to pick one up, try and find us and hopefully we'll have one to hand out. But for everyone else watching back home, there's a 10% discount code down in the description below, so do check that out if this sounds like your cup of tea. And once again, a massive thanks to Calamoto for their support. Now, naturally, with this being a new engine, we can probably expect a new frame as well, because the engine's a stress member, so it's responsible for the majority of the bike's structure, and then the frame's built around it, so it'll have to be a new frame to accommodate it. But I will say overall the chassis looks largely similar. I'm sure there are little tweaks here and there, but it's still that tall, off-road ready adventure bike stance with the 21-inch front, the spoke wheels, tubeless again, semi-knobbly tyres, lots of suspension travel, Brembo radially mounted brakes there as well. And so I'd expect a bike that probably is going to ride in a fairly similar manner to the current bike, but that's by no means a bad thing. The current DesertX is one of the best adventure bikes to ride off-road, and so I'm hoping this will be every bit as good, if not a little bit lighter, which is always a good thing when you are riding off-road. Seat height on the current bike is 875mm, so a tall bike. It helps you to get between sitting and standing. It also comes as a product of all that suspension travel and ground clearance. This looks similarly tall as well, but I will say Ducati are almost always very generous with their different seat height and suspension options. So the current model, I think, can go down as low as 845mm if you fit a low seat and a lower suspension kit. But then equally, if you are particularly tall or you just like to be scared when you're trying to get on and off your bike, you can fit the high seat and go up to 890mm. And I'd expect a similar range of options with this new DesertX V2. You'd imagine as well a lot of the techie tweaks that on some of the new V2 bikes will be carried over here as well. Full suite of connectivity, rider aids, all that good stuff. I won't go into too much detail on that because we simply don't really know with this bike. But we can see a bit of a change to the way that it's styled, despite the fact that it is covered in this sort of camo kind of print. It is ultimately, overall, the same formula of that almost retro-looking adventure bike, a little bit of a Kajiva elephant reference in the way that it's shaped. You've still got the twin headlights up front. You've still got that big bulbous fuel tank. But if you start to look at the details, you'll see a bike that's maybe been finessed and modernized a little bit. I'm looking at stuff like the air intakes down here, the way the bodywork flows through the midsection of the bike there, and then also that tail section definitely has been slimmed out, made that little bit sleeker. And so it just looks like it's been tidied up a bit. Whether it'll actually make for a better looking bike overall, I'm sure we'll have to wait and find out when this sort of camo comes off and we see what paint jobs are available. But realistically, this is still going to be one of the most desirable adventure bikes on the market. No price as of yet, but it ain't going to be cheap. Obviously, it's a Ducati. That's not really their strategy. The current DesertX is $15,195, I think, at the moment, so I wouldn't expect it to be anything less than that, if not a little bit more. And it does make it way more expensive than pretty much all the other options in this 8 to 1000 cc part of the adventure bike market, like the 890 KTM, the Norden 901, the Tiger 900, the... What else have we got here? I reckon even the Africa Twin at 1100 is going to come in quite a bit cheaper than this. But yeah, it won't be news to anybody that a Ducati's a premium product, and so I won't shock anybody if I update you in a few months with a price that's above that 15 grand mark. As always though, I'd love to know what you think of what they've done with it so far, and what are the things you'd love to see when they finally announce the full production version. Do let me know down in the comments below. I'll also put our EICMA playlist on the screen now so you can see all of the bikes we've covered so far. And hit subscribe as well if you want to see all the new content as it comes out, and there's still plenty of beautiful looking bikes to cover. Massive thanks for watching today. Do check out that link if you want to get that Calamoto discount, and hopefully we'll see you in the next video, which is coming up very shortly.